gain or benefit from the ruler. Do you understand? Right? The importance behind this is I want you to know the difference between how a Muslim lives in a Muslim nation, understanding these affairs, and between what you find in socialist, communist nations, right? Where the people somehow have an expectation from the government that the government has to put food on their table, that the government has to feed them and clothe them, right? This is the mind, like the socialist, communist way of thinking, that somehow I have some right on the government that food is on my plate. No. This is socialism and communism. No one is obligated to put anything on your table apart from yourself. It's for you to get up and work and make the effort and strive to learn skills, to get out there and to bring rizq onto your table. Yes, the ruler, as the Shaykh in fact goes on, he will go on to explain shortly, inshallah, that the ruler has many other things to do in the nation. Yes, there is Baytul Mal. Yes, there is the treasury. That depends upon the people giving zakah. That in turn depends upon the people having wealth. They may not have wealth. And at different times there's riches, there's poverty. Allah alternates these things. So no one is obligated to put food on your table. You are the one who has to go and make the effort and put food on the table for yourself, for your family, right? So what I'm saying here is I want you to understand the difference between what we are learning here about, how does a Muslim think and how is a Muslim motivated, because there are some people, and this idea and this thought appeared in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the Shaykh goes on to mention that man, Dhul Khuwaysira at-Tamimi, he is the father, the ideological father of the Khawarij today, like ISIS, Daesh, people like them. This is something that happened in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was some booty, some war booty from the Battle of Hunain. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he distributed this gold or whatever it was to certain tribes or to certain individuals, right? And some of these people, they were not Muslims, they were hypocrites underground amongst the Muslims in the time of the Messenger of Allah, Dhul Khuwaysira and the people with him. So when they never received any of this gold or this booty, they came and they said to the Messenger very audaciously, "Fear Allah, O Muhammad, ittaqillah ya Muhammad." And they said, "By Allah, this is a division by which Allah's face is not sought." Meaning, you are not pleasing Allah with this division. This is unjust. This is an unjust division, right? And the Messenger of Allah, he said, "Woe be to you, woe be to you. Am I not the most worthy of the people of the earth who should be fearing Allah? How can you say to me, fear Allah? Am I not the most worthy of the people of the earth who should be fearing Allah?" Look at this audacious, brave, bold, what appears to be brave, bold attack upon the most fearful of the creation of Allah's, from the servants of Allah Azza wa Jal. Be just, O Messenger of Allah. So these people became unhappy because they did not receive anything from the distribution of the booties. And even some of the other Sahaba, they also felt unhappy because they felt they didn't, why didn't we receive when the Messenger is given? Because the people whom the Messenger gave this wealth to, they were from the nobles and the elites of the Arabs. So you can imagine, right? You've been a Muslim for, among the Ansar for like 10, well not 10, but maybe let's say 7, 8, 9 years. You've gone through poverty, you've gone through hardships, you've gone through difficulties. Then some of these powerful, wealthy pagans of the Arabs, from the nobles, they've entered into Islam, and the messenger is giving to them? Do they even need the money? Right? So even some of the Ansar thought, hang on, this, they raised this issue to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Messenger said, إِنَّمَا أَتَأَلَّفَهُمْ إِنَّمَا أَتَأَلَّفَهُم. So the Messenger explained to them what the wisdom is, what's the reason. He's saying, look, I want to cement and incline their hearts upon Islam, because the Ansar, even though you're living in poverty, you have strong iman. You can live through poverty. You can live through hardship. Your iman is strong. But these people, they are, if we cement and strengthen their hearts in Islam, then in turn, whatever they do by their wealth and by their influence will be for the benefit of the Muslims as a whole. And the Messenger did this because of revelation from Allah. Right? This division is, as the Shaykh says, because the Ansar then understood the Messenger is doing this because this is from Allah that He's commanded to give to them as opposed to them. Do you understand? So the point being here is that this whole issue where somehow you have an expectation from the state that you need to put food on my plate and no. In Islam, you make tawakkul upon Allah, you learn skills, you go out, even if it means collecting twigs and firewood to sell in the market, then so, be it so. Right? You are the one obligated to provide for your family. And if, the ruler, obviously, he can distribute charities, can distribute zakah or whatever, and he can only do what is within his capacity. Right? But there's no expectation. Right? Unlike what you have, and that's what you see in these countries, where you have in socialist countries, where the people become weakened. Let's say the men become emasculated. Right? They don't understand what is hard work. They don't understand. They think, oh, well, the state has to provide for me. Social security and this. In fact, this is how socialism is something that destroys the fabric of a society. Right? In fact, I read just the other day in the fatwa of Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim al-Shaykh. Right? He's from he's the father of the Mufti, the current Mufti, and he's a great alim, Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim al-Shaykh. And he in his fatwa, there's a question that was sent to him from Pakistan. And this questioner, he said, in Pakistan, we have all of the wealthy landowners. They own all the wealth, own all the property. And we have people living in poverty and, whatever. And we fear that the masses of the poor people might be affected by the ideology of Bolshevism. Bolshevism meaning communism, right? And we fear that they might be, because they don't have any wealth and they see all the rich people, we fear that they might enter into Bolshevism. And the Sheikh answered saying that, because what they were implying was, can we take the wealth and the land and the property of the wealthy and give it to, and distribute it to the poor? And the Shaykh said, no, this is unlawful. And this claim or this idea of them falling into Bolshevism, this is false and this is futile. And you're not allowed to confiscate the wealth and the private property of people who've earned, who own it. This is not allowed. This is opposed to Islam. Right? And even Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his late 20s, going back literally, that would be about the 1950s, let's say, he wrote a refutation of socialism, mentioning about 60 or 70 proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah to refute this idea of socialism, as if somehow, because with socialism, what happens? Socialism is an idea or a doctrine that the wealthy elite use in order to keep the grip of power and to stop their power from being challenged. And the way they do it is they say that the poor and the needy, we will take the wealth from the wealthy and then distribute it equally amongst the poor people, right? What the wealthy are trying to do is to stop the middle classes, the wealthy people, from becoming even more wealthier, such that they become a threat to their power, right? So they keep this group in check by way of the poor, right? They confiscate the wealth of these people and give it to those people, and then they pit these two against each other, right? So the poor and the whatever, and this is what they do, right? This is socialism. And what socialism does, it creates masses of people, of men who think, you know what, the state has to provide for me, the government has to put food on my table. So then they don't need to work, they don't need to strive, they don't need to become people who basically think about business and all these kind of things. This is what they do. And to snatch and take the wealth from people outside of zakah and sadaqah, then this is unlawful, right? But this is socialism. This is socialism. And socialism is something that destroys the fabric of society over time, right? So again, I want you to think about these things and understand there's so many things that will become clear to you, and wisdoms that will become clear to you when you look at how Islam and the Sunnah and the Sharia, how it has come with these types of affairs, because it basically, it's like a protection of the whole society from effects and influences that you can't see with your eye, because they happen over decades and decades and decades until you see the effects of those things. Do you understand? Right? So what I'm saying to you now is, look at all these Western nations now, which have been running on socialism for decades and decades. They've been looted. They're on the brink of ruin and destruction. The people are living in absolute poverty. They're being taxed to death, literally. Right? These are the effects of socialism, right? Of implementing these ideologies into society. This is why these things are not allowed to take root in a Muslim nation, because what Islam has come with, what the Messenger has come with, prevents these types of ideologies from ever taking root. Do you understand? I want you to make the link between all of these things. So first of all, the ruler is not under any obligation to put food on your table. You are. Right? Secondly, the ruler does what is in his capacity to do. Right? He may give to you if there's something there. He may not give to you even if there is something there, because there's something else more important that he needs to do. Right? Or he may not give to you because he's being unjust. In all of these situations, we cannot rebel, we cannot make revolutions, we cannot, and then you will find people coming along thinking, oh well, like you have the Ikhwanis, like you find in the books of Sayyid Qutb and people like that, calling for a type of communism, a type of socialism, and speaking with the same ideas. What does that lead to? It leads to revolution and even greater turmoil, destruction, revolutions. And then the non-Muslims come along and they take advantage of that situation. Just look at, let me stay on this point for a bit longer.